Hello, and welcome to New Beginnings Start Today, the podcast for people who want to grow deeper in their faith in the Lord. I'm your host, Dr. Douglas Keffer, a minister, licensed clinical pastoral counselor here in Roanoke, Virginia, with a passion to help people live their faith. Today, we're going to talk about cherish your spouse and how you can build a wonderful relationship with your spouse as the two of you dedicate your lives to living in obedience to God's plan for marriage. Let's look at this. God purposed the foundation of our society upon the husband wife relationship. God started the plan by creating Adam. He saw that it was not good for Adam to be alone, and so God took a rib from Adam's side and created Eve, a spouse for Adam. We have the first husband wife relationship. God has always intended for us to understand that we are to love our spouses as He loves us. When we approach our marriages in this context, God promises that we're going to be blessed. King Solomon understood the importance of the husband wife relationship when he wrote, "He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord." Proverbs 18 and verse 22. Being in a spousal relationship gives us the opportunity to be blessed by God. I can certainly attest to this promise, as I have been blessed beyond measure being married to my wife for nearly 53 years as I write this. We have found that the success of us loving each other day in and day out is because we work every day at thanking the Lord for the many blessings He has given us over all these years. We literally do this by praying with each other every morning, thanking the Lord through praise and thanksgiving for the blessings we know He is going to give us in our daily walk. This allows us to face whatever the day is going to bring us with confidence that God is going to take care of us in those circumstances. I want to encourage you to begin to practice this every morning in your marriage. And I can promise you that you too will obtain favor from the Lord. There are so many difficult challenges that husbands and wives have to face today. One of the biggest challenges couples face today is their finances. The number of couples I have had the privilege of counseling over the many years who who did not know how to handle this area of their marriages was staggering. So many did not believe the promise they made in their marriage vow that says, "And with all my worldly goods I thee endow." This means what it exactly says. What is mine belongs to my wife, and what is my wife's belongs to me. The reasoning that I have heard about why this didn't pertain, pardon me, to certain couples was astonishing. So many younger couples would tell me that the money that they made from their jobs belonged to them, and their spouse had no say on how that money was going to be spent. This meant they had separate checking accounts and also, in many instances, separate savings accounts. Their 401ks belonged to them. Their pension programs, if the company offered, belonged to them. Retirement programs belonged to them. Many would have an account that they would put so much money into when they got paid to cover the household expenses. But the rest of the money they had was unavailable to their spouse because it belonged to them. I am thinking of a particular couple that I counseled where the husband had a very good job and was making a great deal of money. He would not allow his wife to have access to his account or accounts, and she had no idea how much money was in those accounts. He, though, expected her to use the money that she made at her job to take care of most of the household expenses, such as groceries, utilities, etc. When she did that, she had very little money left over from her paycheck. And if she wanted to buy some new clothes or something for the house, she dreaded having to ask her husband for the money to do so. She knew that normally he would deny the request because he did not agree on the need to spend the money. Needless to say, this wife did not feel cherished by her husband, and he wondered why she was so unhappy in their marriage. My wife and I have had total transparency in our finances from the very start of our marriage. Today, we can go online and see all our accounts and know exactly where our finances stand because of the trust we have with each other. Another huge area Another huge area of challenge that couples deal with today is infidelity. God demands that the husband and wife be true in with their spouse sexually. The number of marriages that end in divorce because infidelity is staggering. The Apostle Paul addressed this issue when he wrote the book of Hebrews when he said, "Marriage should be honored by all, and the marriage bed kept pure, for God will judge the adulterer and all the sexually immoral." Hebrews 11 and verse 4. This is what God expects of all husbands and wives as they keep themselves sexually pure for their spouses. I saw so much of the infidelity with couples over the years that I counseled. It was an epidemic. It was epidemic among so many couples. Spouses were absolutely heartbroken when they learned that their spouse had been unfaithful to them. The spouse would look at me and say, "Dr. Keffer, how could he or she do this to me?" I would take them to Solomon's wisdom on the matter when he wrote, "Whoever commits adultery with a woman lacks understanding. He who does so destroys his own soul. Wounds and dishonor he will get, and his reproach will not be wiped away, for jealousy in a husband's fury is a husband's fury. Therefore, he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will accept no recompense, nor will he be appeased though you give many gifts." Proverbs 6, verses 32 through 35. The consequences for infidelity are very real. We are told when this happens, the person destroys his own soul. This behavior can cause fury in the spouse, and many times they really do not know what to do with the emotions that comes with this kind of betrayal. I'm thinking about a husband and wife who came for counseling for this very reason. The husband found out that his wife had committed adultery with a man in the community. He could not believe that his wife would or even could become sexually involved with a man who had the reputation this man had. Try as he may to forgive his wife for this sin against him and the family, he would accept no recompense, nor will he be appeased though you give him many gifts. She told him over and over she was sorry and that it would never happen again. The damage had already been done. They stopped seeing me as it was apparent that he was going to divorce her and wanted to leave her nothing because the betrayal was just too painful. The effect of adultery is apparent, as Solomon states in the following. Now, therefore, listen to me, my children. Pay attention to the words of my mouth. Do not let your hearts turn aside to her ways. Do not stray into her paths, for she has cast down many wounded, and all who were slain by her were strong men. Her house is the way to hell, descending to the chambers of death. Proverbs 7, verses 24 through 27. This is happening in far too many marriages today, and we have to get this malady in our society under control. We are given instruction of how we are to conduct ourselves as Christian husbands and wives that lay the foundation for Christian households. We have to believe that God's expectations for you to love and to honor your spouse is something that you can do every day. This is not something that you can do when you feel like it. It is a commandment that has to be adhered to consistently. The Apostle Paul told the husbands and wives at Ephesus how to do this when he wrote, "Submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Wives, submit to yourselves to your own husbands as you do to the Lord. Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. However, each one of you also must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband." Ephesians 5, verses 21, 22, and verse 33. Paul is telling you that you have to submit to one another as you submit to the Lord. This means that you have to work in your marriage to grow your relationship with God and to the Lord Jesus in order to have a meaningful and lasting relationship with one another. You have to learn how to talk with each other about the things you see God doing in your lives. I would encourage couples to sit down with a tablet or a notebook and write at the top of the page this heading: Today's blessings. Then at the end of the day, they would sit down and write down, the blessings they saw in their lives that day. This then became a great way for them to share what they saw God doing in their lives, and their hearts would grow deeper in their love for their spouse. I have had couples tell me that when they began practicing this kind of discipline in their marriage, it allowed them to see how wonderful God's care for them was and how much it grew their love for their wife and their husband. King Solomon gave great advice on how we can learn to cherish your spouse in the right way when he wrote, "Let your fountain be blessed, and rejoice with the wife of your youth as a loving deer and a graceful doe. Let her breast satisfy you at all times, and always be enraptured by her love." Proverbs 5, verses 18 and 19. Following this admonition, it will give you a blessing that words cannot describe. It will enable you to look at your spouse and see him or her with new eyes and love them with a new heart, so that you will truly cherish them for a lifetime. Thank you for listening to this episode, and I want to invite you to contact me and share how you are learning to cherish your spouse with a new vitality. Answer this question: to cherish your spouse, what will you have to do better? If you're seeing this on YouTube, please click the subscribe button and the like button. Also, click on the share button and share it with all your friends. That would be so helpful to me. Tell me about other issues that you would like me to address by leaving your comments, or you can email me at drdouglaskeffer@gmail.com. I also invite you to pick up a copy of my new book, New Beginnings Start Today with God, on my website, www.drdouglaskeffer.com. Click on the link below. Until next time, God bless each of you.